Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Southern Renaissance. I am Tony Perdue, and on today's show, we got the special guest here, Paula Naumcheff.
That's me.
How cool it is to be talking to you, and you let me come invade your place here.
I did.
And it's
We've
a nice area. That's right. Yeah, you interviewed me a while back.
Yes, I have done that. Tony, I am. We've been here before, but the roles are different today, and I'm okay with that.
The old switcheroo, and
it is.
It's all right.
It's a switcheroo, but I can handle it. Bizarro is part of your trademark, dude.
That's right. That's very true.
Don't you think?
I agree with that. Absolutely.
It makes you so marketable.
You just roll with it.
You just roll with it.
Yeah.
So do we tell them what happened?
Okay. So
let's just bring it real.
Okay. So I didn't hit record the first time on the audio recorder.
And you guys missed so much good stuff.
Yeah, so much good stuff. So she had brought her dogs to the neighbor's house for safekeeping.
Yes.
And then in the middle of the taping before, somehow they escaped and were trying to get in. So we went ahead and let them in during the thing.
During the thing, we did.
So this is all this interesting stuff that you guys will not get to
you won't
see
get to
or
see
hear,
it.
But trust me, it was interesting. It happened.
It was. You kept your cool.
That just happened.
But you kept your cool. I was freaking.
How could I not? I'm just cool as a cucumber.
You are. You're always that way, even when you're performing in those heavy suits. You still, you just keep it real, and you're just chill
until I have a heat stroke.
Until I understand that
I'm wearing those suits.
At least you can say heat stroke and not hot flash. Right?
Yeah,
that sounds a little emasculating.
I have a man flash sometimes. Just invented that.
Man flash is good.
Yeah, it happens.
And then we started talking about Colonel Sanders and
and we were talking about Colonel Sanders. We're doing kind of like a review here.
We were.
This is interesting.
We're reviewing the last episode that will never air.
the lost episode.
The lost.
I literally.
Unlost.
Yeah, the lost.
We were talking about Colonel Sanders neckties. I don't even know how that got started, Tony. What was that all about?
You were talking about how there is a white coat syndrome.
God, you're good. That's it.
I can't believe I remembered something.
I'm impressed with that. Yeah, because you were saying, hey, Paula is a chef. And I said, I'm a cook. That's pretty much what I am. And then I was saying how it is funny how people get really enamored with the white coat. Whether it's, a doctor or a chef or whatever. I don't really understand that phenomenon, but it is a thing.
Mad scientist.
It's mad scientist. That's right.
And then I was just like, well, I know what you mean. I'm enamored by Colonel Sanders. And
that's
then
what
just
it was.
Escalated from there.
It
and
did.
we were talking about ribbon ties and bolios.
And bolios.
You called them bolios, which sounds like a disease.
Yeah, and then we started getting into COVID and how we could say, I don't have COVID. I have polio, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to be out for a couple of weeks.
I've got a bad case of leprosy and polio. I'm not going to make it in.
Polio is part of it.
Polio.
Excuse my voice.
Yeah.
I have polio.
Yep.
We'll make up whatever it is we need to make up.
Absolutely.
To make this entertaining. You're entertaining enough as it is. Tony, MF, Perdue.
Well,
Perdue, not like the chicken. Hey, we were talking about...
No, it is like the chicken. And see,
I
used
always
to
screw that up.
No, it's okay. I used to have to do that in
why?
In Fort Wayne because there's Purdue campuses there, and it's spelled like Purdu. And everywhere I go, and of course I've got a Southern accent, so I'm like, it's Purdue, like the chicken, not the college. And they were always like all right, man.
Like we kind of knew
but it
that.
works. It immediately made them know what
they knew.
Yeah, what you put. So it was just the easy way to remember.
But why would I screw that up? Because I have interviewed you twice, and both times I've screwed it up. I
don't know. This
not
interview
like
is
the
over.
Chicken. I know. Cut her.
Cut.
So we'll talk to the dogs.
Yeah.
This woman knows nothing.
No,
she can learn nothing.
It's
not like the college, like the chicken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's spelled like it's P-E-R-D-U-E.
And I did know that.
Yeah.
I did get that correct on the interviews.
What?
But
yeah.
strike three for me.
Strike three. You're out.
I think I am, but I'm still glad to be here.
Well, we were talking earlier too. I know you're from Huntsville originally, right?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Born and raised in Hunts, Vegas for sure. My dad was one of the original Rocket guys. And I was saying, and I say this a lot, that I kind of call myself the socially awkward one in Alabama because I have never, ever felt like I fit in here. Ever. Like I wasn't the sorority girl. I wasn't the prom queen or any of that kind of stuff. I was more just the geek. Okay. You know, kind of the outside geek. But I wore that with like a badge of honor. Yeah. I think there's something about that that's good.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
It's good not to always fit in. And that's just been the way it's been. And like for Christmas one year, this was in the 70s. So we're talking way before, you know, the Google machine and all that kind of stuff.
The Google machine.
I remember what I wanted for Christmas more than anything was I wanted one of those fancy adding machines.
Okay.
Like the ones with the roll of paper.
Yeah.
And and then you'd punch those numbers and it meant something because it was powerful because you'd punch those numbers.
It is so physical.
It was so physical. And it made noises and then the tape would roll up and you'd pull that tape off. And we got 1.1 million, Tony. I think we're doing pretty well this week. What do you think, man?
Well, if I was doing it, I'd be like, well, it looks like we're hemorrhaging money, Paul.
Exactly. And my mom found that adding machine. I guess they were very expensive back then, right?
Yeah.
And so that just totally dates us. Or dates me. So not you, me. So she went into the paper on the want ads. Do you remember the want ads?
Oh, yeah.
And paid like $40 for this damn thing. And, that's a lot of money in the 70s.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I open up on Christmas morning and I've got a used adding machine and I am so happy. I remember eating that chocolate Santa, that big ass chocolate Santa that you get, in your stocking and calculating numbers. Did that all day and I was in heaven.
Yeah. So
like, God has been good to me this Christmas.
That was so thoughtful of your parents to get you that specific thing that you wanted that was so random.
It was
of what you wanted.
Think about it, Tony. Think about her like driving up to this dude's house that must have been kind of scary. I don't know if they delivered it to her or if she had to drive out to some guy's house or if it was an office and she's like, I need this adding machine for my daughter because it's what she wants for Christmas. And that's how it went down. But it was a special Christmas. I do remember that. So yeah, maybe that's the math part of being a rocket scientist's daughter, but
maybe so. Yeah.
Always been a geek. But yeah, born and raised here, loved Huntsville, left in the late 80s.
Okay.
To get married and move to Memphis. Lived in Memphis for almost 25 years, and then came back about 10 years ago. Came back 10 years ago. My mom had passed away, and so my dad was still here, and I wanted to be close to him, and just loved this city. Love to see what's happening now. So many times I wonder what my parents would think about the explosion of this city.
Yeah, boy, it has grown a lot. Crazy. It's the biggest city in Alabama now, right?
It is.
Apparently.
And they're calling it the Seattle of the South.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild. And if you're born and raised in Huntsville, there's a term for that. Did you know this?
I didn't know this.
Okay.
See, I'm a Colemanite.
You are a Colemanite. Oh, it's called Colemanite.
It's Coleman. Yeah, people say it's just a random, it's not official, but you're like, you're a Colemanite. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It sounds like a mining town.
Yeah, it should be.
Colemanite.
That's like that's a mineral or something. We're mining for Colemanite.
We got some Colemanite.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's important. Yeah, yep. Huntsvillian, I think is what they say.
Okay.
For Huntsville.
Huntsvillian.
I'm not sure, but the proper name, is if you were born and raised in Huntsville, you're Huntsville proper.
Huntsville proper.
Huntsville proper. It's actually like a hashtag. So you have to add that to wherever this goes.
Okay. So you're not one of them outsiders.
I'm not an outsider. I've always been the outsider on the inside, but an outsider. That's an oxymoron, I think.
I know what you're saying.
I think I didn't have to go to Purdue to know what oxymoron meant.
Yeah.
Or non sequitur. I like
non sequitur.
I like that word.
That's a fun word.
It makes me feel like I'm smart.
Yeah, I just
what a non sequitur that was.
Makes me think of like a road, like an interstate. You've got to take a left on the non sequitur, and then you go around the
viaduct.
The viaduct. The viaduct. You got to say it like that.
The viaduct.
Yeah, that's better.
I'm real good at the country accent because
you are.
I saw it a lot. I was around it.
You sound so professional most of the time. I've never heard you talk like that.
I know. Hell, I don't want to.
I don't want to.
But I can bring it out. When I get around the right people, I won't say who, but when I get around the right people, it's pretty darn easy to do.
I was just thinking of the Sling Blade scene where you're not talk that way. You just a boy. I love that movie. It's a great movie.
Who Billy Bob, right?
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton.
He's supposed to be a really cool dude.
Yeah, I've heard he is definitely, and he's even a musician and stuff too. So
yeah, he used to come to Memphis a lot and play.
Oh yeah,
I never got to see him, but he did, and then I've seen interviews with him, and he's very introspective. Mm-hmm. He's very interesting.
Yeah,
which. That's pretty, sorry.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool that he's kind of a guy. Very unpretentious, supposedly.
Oh, yeah.
A little crazy, which is good.
Yeah, which I get.
I get that. Why not?
Yeah, it's who really
he is.
When you're a genius or you're like that kind of so different, as they call it.
You're on the fringe.
Yeah, you're kind of, your brain works a little differently. So there's certain things that maybe... not everyone. Yeah.
I understand that. I mean, the blood vials around the neck. Is that real?
See, this is I think so. And this is like a turnaround to the very first episode I did with my friend Jason Sims.
All right, tell us.
Because
I know this.
Back in the day, when we were like little punk rockers, speaking of outsiders, we played this show with this band called, and what's funny is Jason on the first episode said Stained because he was thinking of that band that just gets in your head, but it's actually Instain. It was the name of this band.
Oh,
but the guy was it was like really rough punk rock band, but the guy was super nice and he was like, "Hey man, I really like you guys set," and he's like, "Here's a vial of my blood."
No.
He handed it to Jason, and
for real.
Yeah, it was very. He gave him like other swag, like their music or a sticker or something. Here's a vial of my blood. It was a very thoughtful gift, and
it was free.
It was free. He didn't even have to pay for his blood.
He didn't have to give up any of his either. Was it like, no, hey buddy, where's yours?
No, this was just like we had just played a show, and just this guy we didn't really know really well came up to us and thought that we should have a vial of his blood.
God, some people would pay for that with certain type of artists. I'd pay for Eddie Vedder's my be all end all musician. Okay. I worship the man. I'd pay for some of his blood. Well, I'm wanting to say that Jason most likely just threw it in the trash since it was probably belonged in the biohazard bin, but I don't think they had any biohazard bins at the state park we were playing at or whatever. Right. They just put it in the trash can with the Mountain Dew cans. Mm-hmm. And the Burger King wrappers. His blood was probably half Mountain Dew anyway, so it probably wouldn't matter. Probably. Back then, you just had to get the caffeine any way you could. That's all that mattered. Do you know that just to go way off subject, you know that there's something called Mountain Dew mouth? Have you? Mountain Dew mouth. No, please enlighten me on this Mountain Dew mouth. Our audience, probably some of us from the South, know what this is. I just found out about it, but apparently there are some people, and I don't want to offend anybody, but it is offensive. So it could be, it could be offensive, and it is offensive.
Okay.
They get teeth their teeth go so bad because they sip on Mountain Dew all day.
Oh, all the sugar?
All the sugar.
Okay, gotcha.
And the other chemicals that make that stuff, that color, that neon color.
Okay.
That they get. And apparently it's a term that, like a dentist, when they're charting.
Oh, okay.
Patient zero has Mountain Dew
Patient
mouth.
zero. I dubbed this Mountain Dew mouth.
there had to be a patient zero for Mountain Dew mouth. I don't know who it was, but yeah, and babies, like they will have babies that they put Mountain Dew in their bottle.
Oh yeah.
That's a good parent.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I mean, shut them up or amp them up.
I just drank coffee.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, like those
just black coffee.
Those little kids they put in the beauty pageants, and they're like, "Here, have some Mountain Dew, and smile."
Brush your teeth, though, honey. Brush your teeth after that. Yeah, and that gets them all hopped up so they can dance well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And or they give them Diet Mountain Dew because they want them to stay thin.
That's right. Yeah.
None of that regular stuff.
That's right. As long as you can get that caffeine.
You got to have that caffeine buzz. And that's the way to do it. So yeah, Mountain Dew has a place in Southern society, but I know I'm just glad not to know anybody with Mountain Dew mouth, because I have seen pictures and it's a tough way to go.
This Southern Renaissance brought to you by Mountain Dew. I'm sure they'll endorse us after all that.
They're going to love me. Paula, she was just a great endorser for us.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew is good, though, but I try not to drink sugary drinks. It's just not really that good for you.
It's not good for you. Yeah. I used to drink a lot of Jolt Cola when I was younger.
What is Jolt?
It was before the energy drinks. They had this Jolt Cola. It was in the 90s, I guess. And it had twice the caffeine as a regular soda. So that was my energy drink at the time. Oh my God. So I would chug Jolt Cola, and we'd play
You'd play like a
band
full
practice.
Set. Yeah, you practice. You didn't need any other drug because you just had Jolt.
Caffeine, I was jolted.
You were jolted out. I don't remember Jolt Cola.
Yeah, I think it sort of had a moment there, and then it just went away. Yeah.
I remember too, so I had a restaurant for a while in Memphis, and you know how people they'll drink the mixed drinks that are the energy drinks. Like, which ones am I thinking about? What's the one?
Like Monster Energy drink or something?
Yeah.
Red Bull.
Red Bull. Yeah, Red Bull.
All that stuff. Sponsored by Monster Energy and Red Bull.
Red Bull. Everybody that's in the commercial industry for soda hates our guts right now. But we were not... So for a while, so I had a full bar also, and people would come in and they'd order Red Bull and vodka.
Okay.
And then it became outlawed. You weren't allowed to serve that anymore because you were just effing people up with that, with the Red Bull.
Oh, the combination.
The combination of that and then the liquor. People were just bouncing off the walls.
I didn't know that.
Almost like liquid crystal meth.
Oh, boy.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
Something.
Tantamount to that.
Tantamount. There's
that's another fancy
words.
word.
Yeah.
I'm trying to throw them in there. So
I like it.
So I sound smart. Is it working?
Yeah, it's work. I'm like, this lady's a genius. She uses a old timey adding machine. And with her little accounting hat on.
A mathematician. And also a word monger.
Word
monger. Is that a word? I don't know.
Was that mean you were hoard words?
It's better than being the hoard without the D. There's that monger too.
I guess so, yeah.
So let's just keep this clean.
Okay, keep it clean.
Tony, I'm so excited that you're going to be playing too.
Yeah,
I know
I appreciate
that we're going to air after this this one that you're doing.
Well, I got some shows coming up later on at Voodoo Lounge in Huntsville, Alabama in November. So,
all right, talk to us tell us just a little bit about it. Do you mind? I mean, come on, let's talk about it.
I don't remember the days, or I would say specific days, but
Tuesdays.
Yeah, I think they're going to be on Tuesdays. I've got a few in November. Of course, got one here in October, but by the time this airs,
it will be done.
Yes.
I will have been there. I'll be on the front row. I'm your biggest fan.
Well, I appreciate it. You've always been so supportive.
Oh my God.
I really appreciate it.
How could I not? So I'll tell you, when I first saw you, this was probably 6 or 7 years ago. You were playing, it was a music writers, what would you call it? Like
songwriters showcase type thing. Yeah.
Thank you. And Alan Little was there, several other great guys. And I had no clue who you were, not because of you, but because of my stupidity. Because I had just
stupidity,
lack of.
Don't you
culture.
know who I am?
Damn it, girl. So, kiss my ring. No, so I didn't know who you were, but I obviously noticed you right away backstage. You were pacing. You're probably doing your Zen moment of whatever you do behind the scenes to get you ready.
I do lots
out.
of break dancing usually.
I thought I saw that, the glitter.
Yeah, stand on my head.
Yeah, I saw you do that too, and
levitate a little bit.
Levitate. A lot of talking to yourself in the mirror. I do remember seeing that. I was impressed with that because you were really giving yourself a hard time. I guess you have to do that.
I was like, doggone it, I'm good enough. Somebody likes me. Yeah.
And they like me.
Yeah.
Somebody likes me. Mm-hmm. The person looking back at me in the mirror likes me. But you were it was just intriguing to see you because of your getup. Of course, your garb is just not garbage, but fantastic. The sequin suit. And you were wearing a different type of hat. It was one of those cowboy hats, but it had either feathers or something sticking out.
I don't remember wearing a hat. You may be like,
I may be just, I was on drugs that night. I wasn't.
I've heard that you've tested positive for PCP the other day. Why don't you tell that story?
This is literally the truth. I did. I took a drug test. It's none of anyone's business why, but I did take a drug test, and it's nothing bad. Okay, I'll step it up and say it's nothing nefarious. That's
it's for your job, right?
It's for my job.
Just part of the job.
It was just part of the job. They just did. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the drug test came back positive for PCP. You know what I said? I said, "What's PCP?" I didn't know what it was, and they said, "It's angel dust." And I was like, "What's angel dust? Is that sounds like a good thing?" No.
It's from the angels.
It's from the angels.
It's holy.
It's holy. It's dusty.
Dusty.
You snort angel dust. So I said that with that too. I said, "Well, what's angel dust?" And they said, "Well, maybe you haven't taken these drugs," but I was kind of freaked out about it.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
I was like,
this is showing up.
This is a deal
How did
breaker.
this get in my system?
Right. Who have I been on a date with lately?
Right.
What's
exactly
going on? But it was interesting because I was like, well, that's a bunch of crap. And luckily they knew me enough not to fire me on the spot.
Yeah.
And they checked it out and found out that you can take Benadryl, for allergies, which I do take.
Yeah.
And that you can test positive for PCP if you take Benadryl. So all y'all out there that have a Benadryl habit, beware.
A Benadryl habit. Yeah.
Hooked on Benadryl. I have it it's in my nightstand, dude. That's how much I take it. I get the sniffles. So.
Oh yeah.
But they cleared me.
That's good. They
printed out that page on the internet to prove that Paula was not a PCP addict.
That's good. I'm glad that you don't have a PCP problem.
No, I seriously was. I was like, what's PCP?
What is that? You didn't know what it was?
No, man, I didn't know. I mean, I can tell you what cannabis is, but I sure as heck can't tell you what PCP is.
That's funny.
No clue. And it was good that I acted surprised. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, you could have been like, no,
Yeah,
I
man.
didn't.
I thought I'd take it.
That was last month. That wasn't long enough to
That's it.
show up.
The half-life of PCP is only 20 days, damn it. What's wrong with you people? I cleared that out of my system, and then I drank a little bleach just to make sure.
Drank a little bleach. I was chugging bleach.
Don't you? I love stories
Well,
about.
on that note of chugging bleach, what got you into cooking?
Oh, see, he's taking control of the interview, which he
Well,
should, because I need to shut
know.
up. Thank you for that, Tony. I appreciate that. So, as far as cooking, just always loved it. Just my grandfather was a chef, from Macedonia. Okay, so
cool.
He was a chef, and it was a restaurateur. So he owned a lot of restaurants in Detroit, in Ann Arbor, and then actually in West Palm Beach, Florida. And it was just kind of in his blood. And then my dad loved to cook, but he did not cook when we were growing up. He was the classic, 8 to 5, go to work at NASA, come home. Always, and I say this with much endearment, because I think a lot of fathers were this way. And maybe it's just the pressure of working and having a family with 4 kids. He'd come home and he'd always be slightly pissed off. You never knew why, but he was just like humorless. That changed a lot once I think the financial responsibilities were less of taking care of 4 kids.
Yeah, it's stressful.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
But I got to see him as as a young adult, especially as somebody who loved to create sauces and really got into the flavor profiles of food. And he would challenge me to cook. He would challenge me to see what I would come up with. Okay. And so that's kind of where the curiosity came into play.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then I studied cooking, and I, as a geeked out kid, another affirmation of that would be that, and showing my age, that I would watch PBS. They didn't have the Food Network back then.
Yeah.
God, I'm so old.
No, it's good.
Man.
I was the same. They only had a few channels, and PBS was awesome.
But this is scandalous, though, when you think about it, Tony, because the Galloping Gourmet, you probably don't remember him.
I don't know anything about the Galloping. Was he a horse?
He was.
He's like, hey, I'm Mr. Ed.
No, he was a drunk.
Oh, okay. Well, same thing then. He thought he was a horse.
He thought he would gallop onto stage because he was so liquored up. But so for real, he had his sobriety. So he had part of the show later on in life when he wasn't galloping as much. But he was still the Galloping Gourmet, but he was the sober Galloping Gourmet. Okay. But he also had the early shows where he was pretty messed up,
I got you. Okay.
And I don't really know the original. I have to look that up. The origination of why he was called the Galloping Gourmet. But I used to sit in front of the television and take notes of, like how he would make things. And, I was like 8, 9, 10 years old, and I'm taking notes about what bubble and squeak is, and it's the
bubble and squeak. What? Is that like Calvin and Hobbes or something? It's Bubble and Squeak.
Bubble and Squeak.
Saturday morning cartoon.
That's it. Pink Panther. No, Bubble and Squeak it refers to how cabbage will bubble and make like a squeaking noise when you cook it.
Okay.
See, I know that from being raised on PBS. So there you go. All right, Food Network, you got that one?
Yeah.
I do.
I've heard something that's related to that.
What?
That not cabbage, cauliflower.
Okay.
So supposedly cauliflower makes a noise as it's growing. It does cauliflower creak is what it's called, like the creaking noise.
No, it does not.
It makes a noise. I swear, I've read an article and they've actually.
I don't believe it.
No, I swear. Get on the Google machine.
I'm going to get on the Google machine.
Yeah, after this.
I think since you have a podcast, you could record that.
Oh, go record.
Think about this.
I've been wanting to do that.
It'll take a while, though.
Yeah,
probably,
it would take a while. Sample it and make a song out of it. But supposedly, I don't think it does it consistently, but like just the sound of it growing.
Maybe
I
at
guess.
night.
I don't know.
I don't know. It comes
I
out.
don't know. I've heard that. That's the thing though. I didn't make that up.
I'm going to look that up.
I say some BS a lot, but that is not one of them.
That's crazy. So this is a dark story about PBS men. This was another man who cooked. Jeff Smith. He was an Episcopal priest. So you already know where I'm going with this. Nothing scandalous, but actually it was very scandalous. He was my favorite. He was this gentle man. He was very knowledgeable about food. And I just loved him. I loved watching him. And he would do sweet and savory. So it was very interesting to me. Well, then the scandal came out that he was the P word. Like,
oh, okay.
He was can I say it?
Yeah.
He was a pedophile.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, and so then everybody's like, "Oh man."
Yeah, that's no
that's
good.
That's a bummer.
That's that's on the list of things that you can be. That's one of the worst
one
things.
Of the bad ones.
That's when you're even in prison. You're way down there. Like, hey, you're a terrible person.
Exactly. In prison, you are, and so his show got cut off really
it should have
really quick, and then he died of a heart attack not too far after that. So that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit.
Yeah, I could see why.
That Jeff was not who he because he was the antithesis of that. When you watched him, he was just so peaceful and loving and everything. I guess he was loving.
Oh man. Well,
we can cut that.
It's kind of like how dare you? It's kind of like the the way you don't meet your idols because they're not the people you think you are probably.
No, and that was really kind of sad to see that one happen because that happened fast.
That's terrible.
It was always like all of a sudden. But then Julia Child, she was absolutely incredible, and she was she went to school in Paris and learned her way through it all too. But there are different opinions about her. As far as her being like just
I can't
pleasant,
stand her. I'm so
really?
sick of it. No, I don't
sick
know.
And tired of her.
I've just heard the name.
She is.
Who does she think?
Did you ever see the Saturday night sketch of Julia Child, who is it's Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Playing Julia Child. Okay, everybody needs to look this up because
I haven't seen this.
Hilarious. So he's playing Julia Child in the kitchen.
Okay.
And he's cutting up a chicken and he cuts himself. And he's like, "Oh no. Oh no, I think I have a little cut." And then all of a sudden they show this blood.
It's like spurting blood out.
Spurting.
I love it.
I'm glad you said spurting. I thought it was splurting.
You can call it that if you want to.
I think you're correct.
It is spurting, but
it's spurting.
But I'm going to start saying splurting now. That's even better.
So the blood is spurting out and it's like gushing out. And then all of a sudden she starts getting like, "Oh, I can't feel my legs."
I can't feel my leg. I love it.
I don't know if she said that exactly, but she starts to pass out. And so I just thought that was a brilliant sketch. So everybody needs to look that one up.
I'll check it out.
Dan Aykroyd as Julia Child.
Well, speaking of spurting blood and kitchen utensils.
Yes.
One time at one of my jobs is when I was working at the laboratory. Someone had just started there, a new person, and I was trying to be a good host, and I was showing, "Hey, here's the coffee right here. Here's where you can make your coffee."
Nice.
And they, we were out of the little pods or whatever, the K cups or whatever they are.
Oh, fancy.
So we were out of them down there. So I was like, I saw them up on the shelf and I said, okay, well, they're way up there. I probably better not climb up there. That's probably unsafe.
Unsafe.
I don't want to do anything unsafe. So
not in
I was
the
like,
workplace.
So I said, oh, there's some salad tongs. I could just use those and reach up there and kind of grab it to get it down there.
Good thinking.
It was a great idea. And then they were all metal salad tongs. So I held it up and somehow the way I was holding it, there's like a lip where it was machined where it's like a razor sharp thing.
Oh no.
I sliced my finger. and it was started spurting blood everywhere. And I'm a maniac. So like, I thought it was funny because it was so absurd, but I started laughing like, and like, it was just spurting blood everywhere. And that new lady was just like, she was just terrified. And
like biohazard.
So I
God. What'd they call you then?
I've been called
Crazy.
many things.
A lot of things.
But yeah, after that, I noticed there was always plastic salad tongs. I became
They removed.
Yeah, they removed all metal salad tongs. Yeah.
So
only I could hurt myself on salad tongs.
I could do that too, though. I remember in culinary school, I used to be the one that would set the oven timer off by walking by it because of my big butt.
Oh, man. You just hit it.
I'm not saying it was, like outrageously big, but I guess I just got close to it enough that they'd be like, oh, Paula just walked by, set off the timer again. Walk by and set off the timer on the oven. My bad.
Oh, man.
Things that you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't help it.
Things happen sometimes.
Things happen sometimes. And one of the worst things I ever saw one of my employees do when I owned a restaurant, the name was Sweet.
See, I was about to ask you about the restaurant you used to own.
Thank you. Yeah, Sweet Bistro. I loved that place so much. It was, it was my concept, a creation completely about what I wanted to do at the time, which was a dessert. We called it the dessert-centric restaurant, meaning mostly like all homemade desserts, right? And everything from scratch, but then also bistro food, like pastas, antipasti trays, and fresh breads and nice salads and things like that.
Cool.
Great brunch. But that one of the worst things I ever saw an employee do is, have those stainless steel prep tables, right?
Yeah.
So she had one of my $300 Wusthof knives, and you'd get chocolate, like 10-pound bars of chocolate, because you're making a lot of chocolate.
Oh, sure,
right?
Yeah.
So it's a hard bar of chocolate, and I see her. I'm walking down the middle of the kitchen, and I see her, and she has one of those Wustofs, and the chocolate's on a stainless steel table with nothing underneath it.
Okay.
And she's about to come down with that knife and cut into the bar.
Okay.
And I can't stop her. By the time I try to yell at her to stop her, she has taken that thing and brought it down, and the chocolate has slipped completely off of the table.
Oh, no.
And she has ground that knife into the stainless steel.
Oh, man.
Those knives aren't cheap. And also, she could have killed herself.
I was about to say, I was assuming you were about to say she stabbed herself in the heart. That would have been no good.
Exactly. She came so close.
Oh, my God.
She ruined my knife instead of, killing herself. Yeah. But I thought, and she graduated from a very, I won't say where, but a very famous culinary school. And I thought, man, that just shows you, it does not matter sometimes.
It's true.
Like the expression in the culinary world, you'll hear a lot of times people will say, I'm self-taught. And that's because there are a lot of chefs that are self-taught. They didn't go to a formal culinary program, but they've spent decades teaching themselves. And I'm a combination of both.
I
went to a small culinary school. It's called Memphis Culinary Academy. It's defunct now, but it was just like a 4-month program to learn the basics. So I'm mostly self-taught because I've studied on my own, beginning with, the TV, the public TV.
Yeah, yeah.
As a kid.
Did your you paid your dues.
I paid my dues.
That's right.
I did. I did a lot of writing, recipes, and then just, doing it over the years, just perfecting my craft. So,
yeah.
But Sweet was a cool little place. It was a 76-seat restaurant. We had a pastry case at the front of the restaurant and an espresso bar.
Nice.
So I thought of everything. I said I sold all the legal drugs. You got alcohol,
drugs.
Alcohol, caffeine, and sugar.
There you go. And
everybody was just bouncing off the walls. It was great.
I bet.
It was a great like pub place to come, and we'd do martinis, specialty martinis, and desserts. And I was really proud of the fact that it was diverse enough that the first year, Memphis Magazine would do a reader's poll of best of,
Yeah.
and we were awarded best dessert, and then also on the other side of the spectrum, best martini bar.
Oh,
So I
fancy.
thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, you were hitting all the different categories.
The things that turn people on.
Perfect.
But the martinis, just like in anything, so much is marketing. And I just had funny names.
Yeah.
Just stupid funny names with the martinis themselves, and nice recipes too. So, that kind of got people jazzed up. Just the names of them.
Definitely.
But it was a great ride. It was so hard.
Oh yeah, it's hard to run your own business.
Oh my God. Yeah. And we were on a shoestring budget. So I was the executive chef, I was front of house manager, back of house manager, recipe writer, GM. I just did all of it. And once we got a little bit successful, I was able to hire somebody to help to do the front of the house. But it was just really, really, it was the hardest job I'll ever love, for sure.
Oh yeah, I bet. It's kind of your passion, but it's just so many extra hours and so many bases you're having to cover. I understand.
Man, yeah, you get that as a musician.
Yeah, and just I've seen, people just try to hold that together as a business, and
it's insane. And for some people that you hire, they've been down on their luck maybe, and they may have some issues or addictions or things like that. And that can be really hard to deal with, managing some of that.
I bet. Yeah.
And then also, essentially, if you have a liquor license, you're living in a bar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you really are. And so I would find myself, once it was like 5:30, I'm like, okay, where's my drink?
So this was like your house too. This is where you lived. This
is where I lived. I actually had well, I mean, not literally my house. Not literally, but I had a shower in my office.
Oh, okay. So you were able to, you were able to get all the stuff done, and then,
spend the night on the couch.
I got you.
I even had a blow up mattress that I would just have there in the back in my office and just sleep.
When you're there so much, I don't blame you. Might as well. You got to get up in a second.
Yeah, that's it. So, it was all encompassing, but it was so rewarding to see, for me, just to have people love my food. That was it just filled me with such joy to know that people loved my food. And I always equate it the way that it felt like about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we'd open for service. And when we would open, it would be, kind of quiet, and you could hear a lot of the banging in the back of people, my cooks getting things ready.
Yeah.
Servers getting things ready. And then later on, once it was like 6 or 7, the people would start coming in. And it was almost like being on an airplane and feeling that airplane take off and start to just zoom and be in its own element. You just kind of had the hum of the clanking of the dishes and people laughing and clicking, cheering together. And all of that was such a high for me. It was such a trip to see that. That was something I really mourned when I sold.
Oh, I bet.
It was like my baby. You know? And to have to go away was a tough pill to swallow.
Oh, I bet.
But man, what a great thing to have the experience to do. I was so blessed.
Definitely.
And it taught me so much.
I bet. Yeah, just in general.
In general.
Like you say, you're having to do so many things, so you're probably sort of having to fill in the blanks on some of it.
Oh, God. And I was a horrible server. And I mean, I was so bad, Tony.
That's when I first met you. I was like, she's a horrible server.
She's a horrible server.
No, I didn't think that.
She is so bad. No, I was like, you'd have people who could carry that tray like this and do all that
they're
stuff.
all coordinated. So I wouldn't be a good server either because I'm not very coordinated.
No, I'm not either. I was so bad, and I would hold the tray with both hands, like, trying to come out and serve the glasses and the plates and stuff. And so I would end up serving sometimes because a server wouldn't show, or we'd be
Sure,
just so
yeah.
slammed,
You
right?
got to fill in.
Got to fill in, got to do all the jobs. And when I would get a table, I would immediately, with their tab, I would immediately zero out the tip. Like I put a 0 and a line through it because I never wanted anyone to tip me because I was so bad. I was like, look, dude, I want you to know.
You don't know what you're getting.
I suck. You don't know how bad this service is going to be. The food's going to be great, but I'm going to have to zero out that tip line because.
I've never heard of anyone doing it.
I'd zero out that, I'd zero it out because I just didn't want anyone to tip me because I knew that
I don't deserve this.
Yeah, I don't deserve this tip. Yeah. Someone
funny.
else can, but no, not me. But I had a great group of people that worked for me for the most part. It was, incredible.
That's so cool.
I did have one, because we had talked about this earlier. I did have a really funny Gordon Ramsay moment.
Okay.
Like I kept myself together pretty well because that's just who I am. I'm just a nice.
You're very chill.
I'm chill, and I'm a very nice person, and I don't really get angry, but when I do get angry, it's a bad deal because I don't usually. And so if I'm angry, I have let myself get so either mistreated or, something's happened so bad that I've sucked it up so long that I'm going to be insane.
Yeah.
So there was a time, it was the second year of operation. My mother was dying of pulmonary fibrosis. And so we had her in Cleveland, Ohio at the Cleveland Clinic. And we were trying to get her a lung transplant, which unfortunately, God love her, never came to pass. But I had to leave the restaurant in the hands of the people that worked there.
Yeah.
And come to find out, so I had driven several times to Cleveland to see my mom and try to juggle that also in running the restaurant. And I found out that our brunch service never even opened up.
Oh, okay.
Because everybody was partying, their asses off.
Oh, man.
Saturday night, like some of the people that worked there, had people in and they were just giving free drinks. And then the other thing is they were smoking, and there was no smoking in my restaurant. And so the way I found this out was I just when you talk about the red eye on a plane, I drove all night. And the first thing back to Memphis, okay, from Cleveland.
And you went straight there?
I went straight to the restaurant. Okay. And they had not cleaned up from the night before because they didn't know I was going to come back in town.
Oh, dang.
So I come in there, and on the bar, there's all these ashtrays with cigarette butts and liquor bottles that the tops are off of them, and it's just trashed.
Yeah.
And dishes back in the 3-compartment sink that hadn't been done.
Okay.
It was a cluster. It was so bad that I actually started to cry when I saw it because I was like, man,
that's a bummer.
This ain't right. Why do you do this? And so we didn't open for brunch. We didn't open for brunch. And then the first time that I saw the head cook, who was responsible for most of this, the kitchen was, just imagine a long, narrow hallway. The kitchen was really long, okay? And it was kind of narrow, like a rectangle. And so the moment that I saw him, this was, we were closed on Mondays, but it was Tuesday, and I said, I need you to come in a little early.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if he knew. I guess he did, that I saw all that. But I saw him walking into the kitchen from the back of the house. And here I am. I'm like 20 feet away from him in the front of the house.
Yeah.
And I saw him walking toward me, and I looked at him, and I was so filled with anger. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do to him. That was legal,
Oh, man.
Or I wouldn't get arrested, And so the first thing I saw was it's like a 20-pound bag of coconut flakes.
Okay.
And so I took a knife. I saw him, and there was a knife right there by the coconut. And I split open that bag of coconut. And I went running at him with the coconut. I threw it on his head. I just dumped it on his head. But what made it so beautiful was he had a buzz cut.
Okay.
So his hair, the coconut stuck into his hair.
Oh, man.
And like he couldn't get the coconut. He told me, he's like, I couldn't get that damn coconut out of my hair.
You
for
assaulted
days.
him with coconut shavings.
With coconut shavings. I did. It was brilliant.
And this is
my
why
story.
I'm interviewing you, so I can get all this on record
Exactly.
for the FBI to investigate you.
They've been looking. They were wondering. They tried to figure out what happened, and I just said I had no idea.
Well,
it was his accident.
Yeah, there's been a rash of coconut shaving assaults. It's really become a epidemic, and the FBI is trying to crack down on this. They're making everything way too tropical, getting in people's hair. It ain't right.
It ain't right. He smelled like a pina colada for a couple of weeks.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I don't blame you for being mad, though. That's your pride and joy. You know, you're putting everything you got into it, and then someone's not respecting the business or, doing what they should.
No, it was a real degradation. And then the only other thing there are a couple other things that happened, but most of it was glorious. But another one was a Saturday night, and one of the customers was really way over the limit with liquor. And of course we would stop. So, hey, it wasn't our fault. I think he showed up kind of that way.
Oh, I got you.
But he was really harassing my servers, just like sexually harassing them. It was really inappropriate. And so I had to go up there and talk to him. And I was trying to be as polite as I could, but I was like, sir, look, this is really inappropriate. This is a business. You can't treat people that way. And he just started going into this tirade, and the restaurant was full of people.
Okay.
So he's standing there looking at me behind the bar. I'm behind the bar. He's in front of the bar. And he goes, well, you know what you can do? And I said, no, sir, I don't. And I won't say it.
Right.
Let me think of how I can say this.
It was something bad. I'm assuming.
You can suck my ick.
Okay.
Just suck my ick.
Wow.
He kept screaming it.
Seems like a really charming guy.
He was charming. And then, of course, everybody in the restaurant was just like, oh, my God, I can't believe this is happening. And I'm thinking, I don't think that like a dude running a restaurant, at that point, I kind of felt like being a female wasn't cool. It was not fair. That he was screaming, suck my ick, about 30 times.
Yeah.
Before I had to, manhandle him out of the place. So there was that. And then one other time, this was kind of a proud moment for me because it was Valentine's Day service. We had a special Valentine's menu.
Okay.
And it was reservation, and we were sold out. And I had 2 new line cooks who I had said that day, I had left prep instructions on things that I needed them to do before I got back from having to run some errands, food errands, get some stuff done before I got back at about 3:00. And we opened at 5. And I got back at 3 and nothing had been done. None of the prep. And I was just freaked out because I knew how much time we had. And, you balance all this stuff, right? And so I didn't even, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't typically do that. The coconut moment was one where I did.
I was going to say you didn't just dump coconut.
No, screaming was part of it. It was like Last of the Mohicans.
Okay.
Just go right at there.
You're like Braveheart, freedom, and then just threw coconut shavings everywhere. I can see that.
That was it.
You painted your face blue and had a sword. And
I did. The sword was my knife. Yeah. So I said, guys, and I literally said it like this. I was like, guys, where's the prep? Why haven't you done any of the prep? And one of the guys looked at me and he goes, well, where have you been? And something in me just went, bang, crazy's about to come out. Crazy's about to come out. And so I said, where have I been? And I was like, excuse me, I pay the effing bills around here. Mm-hmm. And I said, you guys can get the F out. And see, they thought I wasn't going to fire them because I needed them because it was Valentine's Day service.
Oh, see, that's just taking advantage of people. That's terrible.
Man. Just knew like, we'll do whatever we want. And that wasn't the truth. So I was like, you get out. And I threw them out. And so I ran that line by myself. And I want to apologize right now for anyone who had like overcooked salmon or their filet wasn't perfect. But I did
the best you could.
I did the best I could. And I was glad that I didn't take it, that I made
that
that
is
I stood
good.
Up because I wasn't going to let somebody treat me that way.
Absolutely.
Nobody deserves that. You're paying
was the
bills.
right thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
and that was their job to have that prep. They call it prep for a reason. Preparation. Preparation H.
That's how.
Say what?
Say what? What prep? I didn't know that's why they called it prep.
Yeah.
Why didn't I know? I should know that.
Yeah, I'm a genius.
You're a food connoisseur. You sure you haven't run a restaurant before? Tony, come on.
Well,
just admit it.
No, I've run a few bath salt stands, but no restaurants.
I still don't know what bath salts are.
Yeah, I was trying to explain that to you.
But tell me about that.
I don't have any personal experience.
Well,
but
that's
it was
good to know.
Yeah.
But I thought bath salts were like, you put it in your bath water. It's like
I think that is
stuff.
a real thing. But then there was a drug, or I guess it was over the counter, but whatever, like one of those gas station deals, maybe. I don't know, or maybe it was I can't remember, but I know it was making people bite people's faces off or something in Florida. But it is Florida, let's be honest.
Well, that's gator country. You never know what's going to happen.
That's right. They thought they were an alligator or something.
They did. They thought it was defense.
Yeah.
And oh my God, that's terrible. Okay, bath salts. We'll stay away from that. I've never tested positive for bath salts.
That's good.
So that's just PCP.
I'm proud of you.
I know. I feel pretty good about it. I feel like I've been on the straight and narrow for a long time. Yeah.
Well, you were doing a Saturday show, a live show for a little while here, right?
Okay,
and you were telling me some stories about that. That sounded very interesting.
Yeah. Oh God, the bravery of starting out, ignorance is bliss. But so I started my content creation about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. COVID was around for sure, and people were isolated. Izzy's starting to whine at you. She'll be quiet. May have to pick her up. But so I started this show. Oh, there she goes. I knew this was going to happen.
You got your pups.
Come here, Izzy.
Wild
I'm sorry about that.
Oh,
so I did this Saturday night show called Spirited Saturday Night.
Okay.
And it was a Facebook Live show.
Yeah.
I did not care that it was live. I thought that kind of gave me an adrenaline rush.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I remember
does.
counting it down like, okay, you got 1 minute, girl. You better get on there.
Here I go.
And I actually had a lot of people who watched. But I screwed that thing up so many times. I mean, in so many bad ways that I think I had a strong audience because I did so many messed up things, like really bad stuff. One time I was shaking a martini and I was shaking egg whites in the martini, in the shaker, the cocktail shaker, because I was teaching people how to make a whiskey sour. And a proper whiskey sour, you actually have egg whites, right? Or you can have something else called aquafaba, which is chickpea juice for people who are vegetarian. It has a viscosity. Viscosity.
Viscosity. That's some laboratory words.
That is, man. So I was shaking up this whiskey sour and the top broke loose. And so this egg white that looked like a big wad of snot, just went flying toward the camera.
Oh, man.
And it kind of went in slow motion.
3D.
And a lot of people watched this on the big screen. So they got to see this thing just kind of just like jet toward the camera in the slow motion.
That's awesome.
Bad. I remember my sister called me the next day and she said, "Do you realize how bad that was?" I said, "No, I didn't look at it."
She's so supportive.
Yeah, so supportive. Thank you, Sharon. But yeah, she was like, "That was really," I said, I know it was bad. one of the last shows that I did, I actually recorded the entire show sideways.
Okay.
And, confident, hey, everybody, welcome to Spirited Saturday Night, upside down. And then I was so pissed off because I realized it, I guess the playback or something. Mm-hmm. And so I got back on camera and said, all right, we're going to do this right. Because I prepared, I bought ingredients, I studied.
Yeah.
I set this whole thing up, my house. I moved everything around and was, I put my heart in it. So I was like, I'll be darned if I'm going to be defeated on this. We're going to do round 2.
Yeah.
So we did round 2, but I loved it. I should do it again, but I think now I know how bad it can be. And I don't know if I've gotten much better at some of these things, but maybe I will. Maybe I'll have a Spirited Saturday Night and have you on.
Okay.
Would you do that for me?
Yeah, I don't drink, but I'd be glad to be a part of it. Yeah, I definitely am always happy to be a part of anything you got going on.
I would love that. Seriously, would you do that? I would love that.
Well, sure.
Okay, so we're going to do that. I'm going to do a Spirited Saturday Night. I'm not sure when, but it'll be in the next several months. And Tony M.F. Purdue is going to be my guest.
There you go.
All right, so you've heard it here, folks.
That's right.
It's going to happen. That would be fun.
Yeah, well.
Mocktails are the thing.
They are.
So we can do that. We can still have the shaker and do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff.
We'll figure it out.
Well, looks like we're wrapping up here. It's flown by.
I can't believe it. I guess I talk too much.
No, you're good. No, you good information. I've enjoyed it.
Good to know. Well,
know.
This Huntsville, Alabama girl just wants to make sure that you know a lot about me.
Yes.
There's a lot to learn, and I sure do appreciate you.
Man, you're good at that. It's like you're from the South or something.
I was born and raised in Huntsville, Alabama.
Wow.
Can you imagine? Well, nobody compares to you, though, Tony. Tony's
whatever.
The best. I just thank you for having me on.
Oh,
it's an honor.
Thank you for doing it.
You're so much fun and just such a great guy, and I can't wait to see you perform.
I appreciate it. Well, is it just one more thing? What's the best way to find out about you on the internet? I know you got your YouTube channel and all that stuff.
Yeah. My YouTube, I actually haven't been doing much with lately.
Oh, okay.
So the best way is you can just Google me, Paula Naumcheff, Naumcheff. And no, it's not chef like chef. People always say, is your name Naumcheff because you're a chef? Did you do that?
Yeah, I know. I started to say that. I'm like, I know you've never heard this before. Right. But yeah.
No, and plus, then you don't know how to spell because chef has 1 F and my name has 2. But that's, here nor there. But just paulanaumcheff.com. It's my website. And I've got tons of wonderful recipes on there. And then I do some different television shows. I have another one that's coming up. I'll be doing some local things. So there's always something in store. So I hope you'll follow me. I'd really appreciate that. I love creating content. I love getting out in the community, getting to know people and introducing people that are special like you from Huntsville and in Huntsville to our great city. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, and you always do great work. And
thank you.
You're like an edgy Martha Stewart.
Am I the edgy Martha Stewart?
Yeah, you're like a little on the fringe there.
Oh, I like that. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, well, good.
That's the one I want to be. I mean because that's kind of like being who's the one that bites the heads off bats?
Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, like the Ozzy Osbourne, Sharon. The Ozzy Osbourne. No, not the Sharon Osbourne. The Ozzy Osbourne of Martha Stewart.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I'm not quite that crazy though.
You're pretty crazy. You punched that kid out in front when we first got here. You got a pretty bad temper.
Yeah. No one needs to know about it.
That never happened.
That never happened.
I'm just kidding.
But watch out if there's coconut near.
Yeah, coconut.
Something may go down.
I don't want to get around them coconut and shit. And it's not coconuts, it's the coconut shavings.
That's exactly right.
You called it the official word for that, but I like saying coconut shavings.
Coconut shavings is, that's probably more correct.
Okay.
And being a shaving is the good part because it does stick to your hair for a long time.
That's
so
good
it was an
added
bonus.
Aromatic.
Aromatic. The pina coladas. The pina colada head. Yeah, that's it.
Well, cool.
I'll have to make you a special dessert. We talked about this once before, but what did you tell me was one of your favorite things? Just real quickly about your mom. I love this story. But the blueberry.
Well, we would just make homemade ice cream. She would make homemade ice cream, and it was like she'd put the blueberries in there, and then she had some butter flavoring she would put in there, and it was just the right thing, just took it up a notch.
Yeah, that would take it up a notch. That is a great combination.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, ice cream, butter, and blueberries.
Yeah,
what else
was a good
do you
one.
Need?
You don't need anything else.
That's really nice.
You don't need oxygen. You don't need housing. You just need buttery blueberry.
Butter. You said it this way. You said she had this blueberry butter sauce.
Is that what I said? I don't know what I say at any given time.
Blueberry butter sauce.
So when I go back and ever listen to these, I am like, I don't remember saying that.
It was fantastic. It's just the Tony Perdue way. And I'm just happy to have been here with you.
Well, thank you so much. Well, hey, that's our show. And just hang around. We got a lot more awesome stuff coming up. So we'll be back next time. I'm Tony Perdue. This is Paula Naumcheff.
Hey, guys. See you later. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.